Hello, fellow Americans. This is Mr. Steffler coming to you from room 111 in Clintondale Middle School. And I'm here to try to help you with your Chapter 8 reading notes. Chapter 8 is a long chapter, and there's a lot of stuff in Chapter 8. And I want to be able to help you complete your reading notes. So let's get right on to Chapter 8, what it's about, and how you're going to get help on your reading notes. First of all, your reading notes are a 2-page worksheet with 4 boxes on the first side and 6 boxes on the second side, which is a total of 10 boxes to complete. So this is going to be probably a quite lengthy video. We're probably going to do pages 48 and 49 on today's video, and then we'll probably make a second video to work on the end of the chapter. But let's just start talking about what the chapter is about. The chapter is about, now that the British are gone, what type of government are we going to have? Most of the framers of our government wanted us to have a democracy, but was not sure on what type of democracy it should be. So we start out with this Articles of Confederation. It's America's first government. It's very weak. It has the power to make a post office and to make war and peace. Outside of that, it doesn't really have very many powers. The biggest item that the Articles of Confederation were able to do was to divide up the western land into townships and make the Northwest Ordinance, which is how Michigan became a state by the Northwest Ordinance. So that aspect of it, the Articles of Confederation, however, are an epic fail. So this is something that you have to remember for not only the test this week, but for our midterm exam and at the end of the year in our state test. This is going to be on it. The Articles of Confederation was the first government that the United States had, and it was a failure. Now, how can we see that it's a failure? Now we're on to 8.3, Shays Rebellion and the Need for Change. Basically what happened with Shays Rebellion is Daniel Shays was a farmer whose land was taken by the bank near Boston, which is kind of familiar to these days, day and age, where banks will foreclose on someone's land. And, you know, Shays, he was angry that he had fought for the American Revolution, and he gets home and his land gets taken away. So him and his supporters, you know, they rise up and they take over an arsenal, which is a place where guns are stored, and they then march to the courthouse and take over a courthouse. And what this really says to the American people is, if Daniel Shays and his friends can get guns and take over the courthouse, who's to say who's the next maniac that's going to be able to take over a courthouse or take over some guns? And so this really concerned people and made people think that they needed a new, stronger government that had an army that would be able to march out there and stop Daniel Shays. So this aspect of Shays Rebellion, the most important thing about it is the people rose up and that there was no one to stop the mob. There was no one to stop them. So this caused people to want to make a government that was stronger. So they met in Philadelphia in 1787. Now we're on to 8.4. They met in Philadelphia in 1787. It says, what beliefs did the delegates share? What ideas divided them? So it asks 2 questions. What beliefs did they share, and what the beliefs divided them? So what didn't they share? So right off the bat, they met in Philadelphia. What a delegate is a representative. So all the states had representatives, and they agreed on the basic purpose of government was to protect life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. They believed, and the best way to do that was to have a republic. What a republic is when you elect people, and then those people go to the Capitol and vote on things, vote on spending measures, vote on war and peace. Those people vote on the things. So it's not a direct democracy where everybody votes on everything. A republic is when you send a representative to vote for you. Sort of like student council is like a republic. We don't vote on every little thing like about the Halloween dance. The student council makes those decisions, and we elect the student council to do so. What they had major disagreements on, now this is the second part of the question. What they had major disagreements on was how many votes each state got. And here's an example. Like, let's say New York, which is a high population state, is paying $10 million to the government in taxes. And Rhode Island is paying $1 million to the government in taxes. Rhode Island thinks that they should have one vote and New York should have one vote. New York thinks, hey, we paid $10 million, we should have 10 votes, and Rhode Island only paid $1 million, they should only have one vote. So this is a major aspect of what they disagreed upon, like how much representation each state should get. So let's go on to page 49. The issue how should the states be represented in the new government? So basically this comes down to arguments between the large states and the small states. Okay, so this is a major thing, that the arguments between the large states, which was led by Virginia, the largest and most populated state. Now, Virginia's plan called for 3 branches of government, 2 houses of Congress, and the representation in Congress was based on the population. So, the higher your population, the more representatives you get and the more votes you have. So the more people you have, the more votes you have. Now, New Jersey, they were the leaders of the small states. And they also wanted 3 branches of government, but they wanted a Congress with 1 house and that each state gets 1 vote. So all the states were equal. So these 2 sides could not get along. So when you have a situation like this, you need to make a compromise. So that's what they did, and they made what's called the Great Compromise, which is going to be asked about on your test. So you should know what the Great Compromise is. And so what they came up with is that there's going to be 2 houses, which is part of the Virginia plan, and one of the houses is going to be based on population. The House of Representatives, the more people you have, the more votes you get. So that part of the compromise, the Great Compromise, is Virginia's part. Now, the second part is the Senate, which is part of the Congress. The Senate, each state has 2 votes, so they're all equal. So what is the states with large populations get the House of Representatives, where their population is definitely taken into account. And then the small states in the Great Compromise get this Senate, where everyone is equal and each state has 2 votes. So these are pages 48 and 49 of our chapter, and this will help you complete those reading notes if you watch them. Your reading notes are going to be due the day of the test, which is scheduled right now for next Tuesday, which is the 27th. You need to read the next pages to find out the details. So make sure that you all are also reading the chapter, not just listening to this video. You need to read the chapter or have the chapter read to you. So part 2 of the video is coming, dealing with pages 50 and 51. Without anything further, God bless you and God bless America. Boom.